to give us some time for intro.
Game resumed.
Okay.
Okay. Are we going?
Yeah, we're totally going. Everything looks so big and
Okay.
cartoony. I'm not sure what has changed. I must have changed some of my graphic settings because it's crazy. So, yeah, you're gonna. This is the GM, right?
Yeah. So this is a TvP. I just played in the ladder, and I'm now top 8 masters, and I'm basically plateaued out as far as my MMR goes. I at this point, as it was with Wings of Liberty, I think I'll start averaging 50% win rate, and I'll try to improve, of course. But this is where I really start to get opponents that are nasty and that feel unbeatable when I'm playing against them. This guy's a GM. He's on FXO, apparently. His name FXO Remark. I think he's in their amateur division. I don't know much about FXO, but he's a Protoss player. And yeah, I felt good just getting matched up against a GM. It makes me feel like I'm at least.
Makes you feel like it's been relaxed.
That domain.
Because they were.
Hey, that's a very.
I've been
negative.
matched up against 0 GMs, and I've finished top 10 masters before. So definitely.
Yeah. Well, this is the. Well, I think this is a little bit different because this is the first time that we're playing Heart of the Swarm. If this is the first season of the official Heart of the Swarm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're not playing quite as competitively as I am. It seems like you're doing mostly
unranked. Yeah.
Mostly,
well, I mean,
games, yeah.
it's weird that you interpret that as negative. I got kind of a snooty tone to my voice, but saying that I've never been matched up against a GM and you have, that's not negative. That's a compliment.
So anyway, this is, I feel like, a very good example of just very solid play. Like I'm definitely not a GM player. I mean, I kind of enjoy getting better and learning and improving, but I definitely can recognize when someone is just kind of better at the game than I am. So I mean, my TvP approach is fairly gimmicky, and it's definitely got holes. It's pretty all-in-y. It's pretty cheesy. I do basically the same thing I did in Wings of Liberty with a few slight variations, and that's a 2 Rax opener, a 2 Marauder, and 4 or 5 Marine poke into a tank, medevac, Marine, +1 attack, SCV pull, all in at around.
Oh, Nick, you attack move scouted.
I know.
I used to attack move
two
scout
mistakes.
just in case there was a probe. Like you want it to automatically chase
it.
But
worth it.
yeah,
it's not worth it. I know. I keep telling myself, why the heck did I do that? But that's okay.
You also didn't want. You made three depots, but you put them all spread out.
I did more because I'm interested in oracles coming around. The oracle build isn't quite as popular as it was in the beginning of this season, but it definitely happens. So I'd rather have just that extra reaction time. And I'm a little bit worried. When I've walled in, I've tended to get punished for it more often than not. Like I'll have either a void ray rush, which I saw in a game recently, or even oracles, or just like an observer with an immortal pull to basically any one base play with vision of the high ground is going to allow Protoss to kill whatever's up there. So I really am worried about seeing like a proxy 2-gate and just zealous up the ramp, and when that happens I'll probably go back to walling in, but I have not seen it.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like that the reason we walled in is still out there, but no one does it. So whatever.
Right. He reacts very well here. He force fields that. He has just enough troops to deal with what I have. He's got a mothership core. Given what I saw there, I'm guessing that he is going for an expo build and low tech. But what are your thoughts on
part of the reason that went well for him is because you're supposed to come with 2 Marauders and 6 Marines. You came with 2 Marauders and 4. So if you say a Marauder is equal to the Stalker and the other Marauder is equal to the Sentry, and the 6 Marines are easily capable of killing the Mothership Core and the Zealot, then you should have won that poke.
No, I don't think so, because he had that. We can go back and play it out if you want and do some experimentation. But the fact that he attacked from the high ground meant he got 1 volley off before I was within range. And if that Zealot is right there and doing damage the whole time, it means I can't really kite him. I can't really run around.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are that many troops and Warp Gate, presumably is about to finish, that's going to favor him. I'm going to get very little done there aside from the scout. So I'm assuming he's got an expo there, which is really the only thing I took away from that. I lost a few units, and I'm assuming he's going for an economic build, which I'm right about.
So your +1 attack early is an adaptation because of oracles, right? I noticed that maybe the reason you poked with only 4 Marines is because you rallied the rest of the Marines into your mineral line.
True.
You're not going to build the turret unless you suspect oracles, which in this game you obviously don't. Do you think that Mothership Core and oracles are mutually exclusive, or is that not a thing?
No, they're definitely not mutually exclusive. I've definitely seen combinations of both. And since I don't know what tech path he's doing, I'm still a little bit nervous. Like, I've no intel. I haven't seen an observer. I haven't seen any air from him. All I'm guessing is he's got an expo and is now starting to tech up to something. Since I haven't seen an Oracle or a Phoenix or anything like that, I'm assuming there's no air. But I haven't ruled out DTs or anything like that, so I will. My plan at this point is to get a turret in my mineral line before I go, just to make sure I don't lose everything.
What did he see that prompted him to go up to 6 gateways and a robo bay? That's kind of weird.
So he poked up. I watched replay just before. So
did he not see the expo? I mean, I know he has an observer, but I didn't see him scout it. Maybe he did.
No, he scouted with his army. He walked up, saw I didn't have a base, retreated. And this is exactly what you should do. Like, he basically saw, okay, the Terran is 1 basing. So all he needs to do is cut workers, which essentially is what he's done. He's already got a significant economic advantage. He knows he doesn't need to exceed that. He just needs to hold it. And now he's just cranking army, and his army is already bigger than mine by 500, 600 gas and some odd minerals. So my SCVs are going to equalize this, but this is going to be very tough because he's got a mothership core with full energy, so he can just kind of endlessly, what do you call it, energize the Nexus, and it's going to make it very hard for me to push in here. So I see he's got a high zealot count, which is good for me. The SCVs do really good at equalizing the zealots, neutralizing the zealots rather. But he's playing this right. Like, he's just making it very hard for me to walk up here. He's got a huge
production infrastructure, and he's buying time. And the more time he buys, the further ahead he's getting.
Exactly. So all he needs to do is just like poke away here, even if he's losing a little bit. Like we're now even on units lost. He's now a little bit behind.
And he keeps putting a single zealot out front to absorb all your tank damage too.
Yep. He's playing very well here. It's good micro. So my goal here is to put my tanks just far enough away from the Nexus, such that it kills units that get within range, but that aren't within the Nexus cannon.
But it doesn't shoot that
ability.
Nexus, right.
So I'm now using my Marines to kind of bait the army out, and here we go. So at this point, we'll pause for a second. It's already a little bit underway, but you can see he's way ahead. I mean, he's got 700 head of minerals and
you're ahead on damage.
Gas.
He's ahead on army size. The incomes don't matter because this is it.
Exactly. Right. But what it does matter is
he
had 10 workers more than me. I've got +1 attack to my SCV to my.
I'm surprised this Colossus is so late. I guess he didn't.
Yeah, he went Immortals first, I guess, but I mean, he's fine. Like even that Colossus is going to be great for cleanup, but
and
he's really got me wedged in a little corner here.
Is that all of your SCVs died down south of his natural Nexus while you were chipping away at it, so you don't have anything to put for the Zealots, so all of his Zealots are like doing damage, and now just army size you're blown away. This really kind of comes down to him having a much bigger army than you. He even had a bigger army than you at 10 minutes. I looked and you had a $3,300 army and he had like a $3,600 army. And theoretically, a Protoss should always have a bigger army than you at 10 minutes, but in practice they usually don't. And even if they do, your SCVs should give you some chance at winning that. So you pushed at the right time, but he delayed you for a full couple minutes, and that's one of the biggest ways for us to lose is just being delayed. And that's why we get the tanks, is to make it so they can't delay us. But with the Nexus cannon, the tanks don't really serve that purpose anymore.
Right.
Because you can't move your army too close, or else the tanks are going to shoot at the Nexus cannon because it's an attacking unit now instead of just a building.
Yep. I found that I'm still a very high win rate with this build. I think now that my MMR is a little bit high, I will win a lot less often with this build.
But still more than any other build.
That's true. But what I've noticed when I watch the replays of the games that I do win is a lot of Protoss play really, at least in the mid Masters level and even a little bit higher, they play a little bit sloppy in the mid game. And as soon as kind of they've taken their Nexus, they're like, okay, well, I kind of assume the Terran has his CC, so I'm going to get 2 upgrade pass, I'm going to get double upgrades, and they spend a lot of money on things that aren't going to help them at around 10 minutes, which is when I attack.
Yeah.
So the build really capitalizes on that kind of just slightly sloppy macro from the Protoss player. So when you have a Protoss player like this who's very crisp, like he got just enough gateways to spend all his money, he got just enough workers to have an economic advantage.
He didn't
bother with any forges that wouldn't have helped him. So he just played perfectly. Like he reacted well, he scouted well, and so he's a GM. This is what we see. So I'll have to start experimenting and figuring out ways to beat the GMs. But so far, this is my only build. I'm not sure what that will be.
Yeah, I'm surprised how heavy he is on Zealots here. I mean, what really allows him to kill you there is all of the Zealots and your lack of a Zealot buffer, basically. He's got 3 Immortals, and that's somewhat beefy, but compared to your theoretical 50 Marines, 3 Immortals aren't going to do crap. It's basically only Zealots that matter in this fight.
Right.
And Zealots have always been better than Naked Marines, man, but you got to somehow convince them not to be able to shoot, and there was no way to do that here.
Right. The SCVs got picked off, and
right.
that was that. So anyway, it was a fun game.
I liked it, Nick. I liked it.